The Dice Tower is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. And by Cool Stuff, Inc. Cool Stuff, in stock at CoolStuffInc.com.
The Dice Tower, episode 533.
On the boat again, Dice Tower Cruise 2017.
Welcome to the Dice Tower, a podcast about board games and card games, but especially all these people who play them. On today's show, we're live on the Independence of the Seas for Dice Tower Cruise 2017. We have the whole team on deck: Mandi, Suzanne, Z, Sam, Tom, Jason, and maybe other people too. No. We'll check in with the team and what they've been playing and answer some questions from the live theater audience. I'm Eric Summerer, and here's your host, the Captain Jack Sparrow of board gaming, Tom Vassell.
You did sound good with that. The mic, he sounds like, I don't know, he sounded pretty
More
good
authoritative?
Today. You did.
You're saying you don't think I'm authoritative normally?
I keep telling people, as soon as that we're done recording, it's so mean and he's telling me what to do.
I am nothing but nice.
Nothing but nice.
All the time.
All right, folks, well, we're really glad, especially for those of you here in the room. I hope that you are enjoying yourselves so far. We have made several changes over last year, and there's certainly things that have gone amiss and awry, but overall, there's a lot of things I think that went right. I'm having a good time, and as soon as the show's done, I'm going to really relax, because dinner's next. This is very problematic, though. I don't know about you guys, but I really like to eat, and the opportunities that are being afforded me here are ridiculous.
Yep.
When I was at dinner last night, I ordered two meals, and when I ordered dessert, I said I want some chocolate cake, and the waiter's like, and?
Well, the wait staff does get to know your preferences. Yeah. It only took them half a meal to figure it out.
Yeah, I came, but I said, I did eat lunch and stuff, but he's like, you don't need to make excuses. I was just preparing you for what will follow. Who here in the audience, this is your first cruise, period?
Wow.
And platform, is it anyone's first cruise up here? Mandi, it's your first cruise. All right. So I hope that you're enjoying yourself. This is certainly lots of food. So lots
of food? You just said this is certainly lots of food.
That is certainly what you just said.
I know that's what I said. I actually didn't make a mistake.
I thought that was a slip. Never mind.
The food is amazing. Anyway, so
get out of here, Freud.
So what are you guys thinking so far? I really haven't had time to sit down and breathe much. What are you guys thinking? This is for anyone on the platform.
What did you say?
Did you say, what are
you guys thinking about the cruise
we heard
far?
eating. Yeah, we heard eating. What have you guys been eating?
That might have been a mess up. We should do these shows before dinner.
Well, just like Tom, I had escargot last night. That's a start, right?
Yes!
How many of you tried escargot for the first time on this ship and never had it before coming on a cruise?
No. Escargot is amazing, and because it's mostly just drinking a cup of butter.
It is. It really
yes, it is.
Salty butter. I had one myself.
Okay,
well, I have to say, I was confused because I don't know how I got this notion in my mind, but when we were first talking about the cruise, I'd gotten the number 150 in my head, so I thought that there were going to be about 150 Dice Tower cruisers on, which I thought was amazing. I have a 150-person convention in my local area, and it's delightful, and it's intimate, and we have so much fun. And then I got here, and then I just saw a lot of people, a lot. And so somebody said, no, there's actually 509 cruisers.
Is that right?
For Dice Tower. Yeah, Jason would know. And
509.
It's stunning. It's so cool. It's such a great size. So there's way more Dice Tower cruisers here than I thought.
I didn't realize this. If you take my family out, it's exactly 500.
Yes, and if we add in 4 other people, it would be like a Stronghold game, I think.
Wait,
wow,
what?
That was a really bad segue there. We're not talking about 504.
What I really like is the looks that we get from the regular cruisers, the muggles, because they'll wander into gaming spaces. Like we're in the nightclub this year, and we were doing registration in the Labyrinth nightclub, and people kept wandering in. So what's this? Tom was playing a game of tumbling dice with the kids. He's like, "Is this a daycare?" What is this?
In the nightclub.
In the nightclub, with gargoyles on the walls and stuff. This is where people drop off their children. With the guy in the red hat. It's entertaining.
What about you guys?
I thought the cruise, when we said, okay, it's a Dice Tower cruise, I literally thought it was going to be only people coming for the Dice Tower. I literally was nodding. I'm like, who are all of these people?
It was the exact opposite of what Suzanne thought. Suzanne was like, oh, like 100 people. She was like, everyone.
Everyone.
Everyone on board.
So I saw like these random people. I'm like, are they? I literally was like, are you supposed to be here? And I'm like,
Get off my ship.
So Suzanne had to explain it to me, and I'm like, okay, I get it now. So
I do like that you think that highly that we were able to pull that off. That would have been very impressive.
Yeah, I've been having a good time myself. Obviously, second time through, and it's fantastic. The fact that we're back on the same ship is, in some ways, very nice. You know already some of the layout of the land, and coming back and seeing everything again. It's like visiting, it's like visiting family in a way, both because you get to see people you haven't seen in a while, and you get to come back to a place that is loaded with so many good memories.
Well, how many people here were here last year? Oh, wow. Yeah, see? And that's good. And we get to talk. Yeah. So we put the second year thing on your badges, and the badges are going to slowly get built up over the years. So you'll be able to have
like travel stamps. Is that?
Yeah, it's like
idea?
a blinged out,
cool.
out badge.
Nice.
But even if you come, later on, you can still keep blinging it out. So hopefully everyone here will come back next year or so, or the next time we do this, which is about a year away from now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about. Sam, you didn't tell us what you thought.
That's because everybody else got to talk.
We saved the best for last.
No, that's not. You should have somebody else go then. No, I really enjoy this cruise. This is my favorite cruise of the year.
Nice.
I won't tell you how many cruises I go on each year, but this is my favorite cruise of the year, and it's a great time. I was able to get 2 games played today, and I played with those 2 games with 9 different people. So I played with 4 other people on one and 5 other people on another, and I love that. It's great. Not that I don't enjoy playing games with the same people over and over and over again, but it's just a great time to be able to make that connection with people, and I really do enjoy it. And yes, the food's good, but it's the connections you make with other people that's really great. So it's been great so far, and I'm looking forward to the rest.
Well, since you mentioned some games, let's talk about some games. We'll each go down and talk about a recently played game, whether it's on the cruise here or not, and we'll discuss them. So are you, Sam.
Okay, so one of the games that I played, the first game I played today was Sakura. It's a new Essen title that just came out. It was actually a Kickstarter, and they're shipping to Kickstarters right now. So if you haven't got your copy and you backed it, it's on the way. And I have my copy here, so I'll play with you if you want. But it's a really cool trick-taking game, and I do that on the air quotes because you're not really taking tricks, and you don't want to take tricks because tricks give you points, and you don't want points. You want a low score at the end of the game. But there's a lot of things that you have to do during the game. You play, there's 2 piles of cards. You play 1 card on each pile, and you have to obey certain rules. Like on one side, you have to play equal to or lower than the number of the card, and on the other side, you have to play equal to or higher than the number that's on the card. And then you also have to obey suit color as well. So that's where you're really, if you can't play on one of the piles, you have to take that pile. And however many shurikens are in the pile, that's how many points you're going to get at the end of the round. Then there's also characters where you can purchase and hire these characters that will help you basically break the rules so that you can possibly play cards onto stacks you might not be able to play on. And whoever has the lowest score at the end of 3 rounds is the winner. Just a really fun, easy to teach, and it's one of the games that I will play with its maximum player count, which is very cool. It goes up to 6, and I usually say, stay away from 6, because that's usually, there's too many people, it overstays its welcome, what have you. It's actually really fun at 6, so I really enjoy it. It's Sakura. Give it a shot.
That's interesting. We played this, right? You, me, and Z?
Yeah.
At 3?
Right.
I thought it was a pretty good 3-player game.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You said go up to 6 because I thought 3 was pretty tight.
Well, the higher the player count, the fewer cards you have in your hand. So the number, the amount that the round takes, the amount of time that the round takes doesn't really change that much.
Right.
So it works. It still works really well with the higher player counts too.
All right. What about you, Suzanne?
I got to play a game called Tybor the Baumeister. Baumeister. And Tybor the Builder. So if you've played Oh My Goods or Royal Goods by Alexander Pfister. This is kind of his follow-up game to that. It takes place in the same universe, and it actually goes into the story of this character that was in the previous game. And it's lighter than Oh My Goods. It's really a drafting game, but it uses multi-use cards, which is one of my all-time favorite mechanisms. So you get this hand of cards and you pick one and you play it, right? But that card can be played as a citizen and it'll give you discounts and scoring options, or you can use it for its building power, and then that'll help you buy these buildings, and then the buildings have points, and sometimes they give you scoring benefits as well. And it's really quick and easy. It goes in 4 fast rounds. Each round, the cost of things gets a little bit higher, so you really have to get your engine built up and figure that out. There's lots of hate drafting you can do, which is also something I really like to do.
I like hate drafting.
And, you know, it's lighter, but it's still really engaging. And for such a fast game, you can really get into it, and I really enjoy it. I will say the rulebook is an atrocity to mankind. And
sorry, did you slip to a different character there for a moment?
It's the one-woman show version of the review.
Well, no, I mean, I really enjoy the game, but I just, fair warning, if anybody gets to try it, the rulebook's terrible. Come talk to me, I'll help you learn it, because like the icons, it'll say, you know, if this icon, and then the icon is 4 lines above, misprinted, laid over the text 4 lines above it, kind of thing, and yeah, it's pretty bad. So.
Oh man, that almost like I'll wait till they fix that. I think.
Yeah,
that seems pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, but it's a super fun game, really rewarding for a fast drafting game, and that's Tybor the Baumeister.
And Alexander Pfister, I actually wrote on Twitter, he's the one who designed the game, and I said, oh, we're going to play this. And he literally writes, okay, so I don't want you to have high expectations here. He literally wrote this to me. He's like, it's fine, but just, you know, it's not like Oh My Goods, but just to give you fair warning. So I enjoyed it, though, so I think he was selling himself a little bit short on that.
Yeah, I liked it, too. I was in on this game. It's a same weight about as 7 Wonders, I think, but a lot more portable, and those multi-use cards are cool.
Wait, is 7 Wonders lighter than Royal Goods? Okay. Glad to know. I do enjoy that it's set in the same universe as Royal Goods. Isn't that like our universe? I'm pretty sure. This is like the universe. I found that amusing.
Yes.
Well, someday they'll change something and it will be different.
Yes.
Oh,
And in this
It's
universe,
an alternate timeline.
Cows are the sizes of cats.
All right, Jason, what about you?
So I don't know how many people are going to believe this or not, but I haven't played one game since I've gotten on the ship.
Have you slept at all?
That's a travesty.
I did sleep for about 3 hours last night, but I did play some games before I got on the ship, and one that was really interesting was called Get the MacGuffin, and Get the MacGuffin.
Eat the
MacGuffin. Eat or get? Which one is it? I said get.
Don't eat.
Tom is so thinking about food right now that he's now eating muffin. But I want to
Eat the MacGuffin.
I want to eat the muffin.
Eat the
So it's called Get the MacGuffin. And if you know Alfred Hitchcock, obviously he said that the MacGuffin is like this side thing that is not really what the plot's about, but everyone's trying to find this thing like the uranium in the bottle. So this game is actually by Looney Labs, and Kristen Looney's been doing this cool thing where she wants to play this game with every single person on the ship. I was number 1. I got to sign in first of everyone.
To clarify, I think it's every single Dice Tower person on the ship. To go farther than that would be difficult.
According to Mandi, that's everybody.
I'm never going to live that down, am I?
So this game, in terms of player count, is kind of cool because as Spinal Tap said, this game goes to 11. And it really does. It plays from 3 to 11, which is kind of cool. It has 23 cards, and you get dealt the same amount of cards, and whatever cards don't fit evenly get out, so you can do it in any number. And you have a hand of cards. You have some cards that are objects that you're going to be putting on the table. You have some cards that are actions that will do all sorts of things like switch cards on the table, switch hands, shuffle the hands, and you're trying to be the last one to have cards left, so if you have the MacGuffin on the table on your turn, you can pull it back, play it, pull it back, play it, and never have to keep doing anything else. But if you have other cards, you're going to swap that out so you get it, and it's kind of cool. And it was short, it was fun, it was quick, and I think it's a really good game.
All right. Well, good thing that you think it's a good game since they're here, and that would be really awkward.
Yeah, that would be really
That's
awkward.
not a good game.
I would have talked about something else then.
All right. So
He's learning. It's good.
Not like 2 years ago.
with Dice Tower Cruise 0?
Yes, the test
okay.
cruise that no one knew
test
about.
That one everybody was on the Dice Tower.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we're smaller. It's a long story. I haven't played a game yet. I played Fantasy Realms.
Fantasy Realms.
With Z-Man games. Yeah, I played that just briefly. I do plan to play
Whiz
games.
Kids now.
Did I say Z-Man? I keep making that mistake. Whiz Kids, you're right. But I do plan to play more games from this point onwards. But I watched the kids play Tumbling Dice, and that was what I did is sometime in this year, Amazon had a sale on like 20 sets of dice that were all different colors, and I was like, Tumbling Dice, why not? So all the kids had 12 dice, 6-sided, 12-sided, 20s, 8s, and they all got in a big long line, and they just threw them down.
Okay.
And at the end, there was like 30 dice there, and I was, I have to score this.
Hey, kid, let's practice math.
I don't know, let's watch Mr. Vassal, and I'd do something, and I'd be like, I think that was 43. Shut up. But that was actually pretty fun. It's entertaining, and one of the kids did get a natural 20 on the 3 times that, so that's a 60.
Wow.
Nice.
I don't know how you can get an unnatural 20, actually, so just a 20. But just, that was a lot of fun. We're going to do the adult version of it tomorrow.
What?
Let me rephrase that.
Dice Tower After Dark.
Hold on now.
You need
Wait
to
a
keep Z
second.
away from
What
that
happens if you
event.
roll a natural 20 in that one, Tom?
So, Z's ruining my brand
I'm
again.
sorry.
All right. So that was
apologize.
fun to set that up. And other than that, there's so many games that we've been playing recently. Just the amount of games. I'll mention, for me, the one and I don't know where I stand on this one yet, and that's the new Civilization game. And I played that one with Sam. I want to try it again because
I mess up all games, yeah.
Huh?
Because I mess up all games.
No. That wasn't. We did play with not the fastest crew in the world, but
Yeah.
they've streamlined the Civilization game. It's not a sequel to the other Civilization game that Fantasy Flight made. It's like a sequel. It's based definitely on the newest Sid Meier's Civilization, but they've abstracted combat out completely. It's kind of an area control game. You're putting down culture, and if you played the computer game, growing culture around your cities is a big deal, and they've done that. But the technology, there's a lot of things about this game that are abstracted. The thing is, the core mechanisms of this game I really like. You have 5 cards in front of on the display, and they're underneath these numbered slots 1 through 5. And on your turn, you pick one of those cards and you activate it, and it will be as good as the number it's underneath. So get some technology points. If it's underneath the 5 slot, you get 5. Whatever you pick, then it slides down to the number 1 and pushes everything else up. So that's a fascinating thing. That mechanism is way more interesting than the game actually is. I just want to play with that. I almost wish they had cut out the rest of the game and that was the focal point. But I wonder maybe the game is a lot better with 2 and 3, so I'm gonna try that out. I think the idea is great, but it's not grandiose. It literally is probably 70-minute game. So I didn't dislike it either. Sam, what did you think?
No, I enjoyed it too. But again, the one of the things that I liked about Civ games and those kinds of games is taking my guys up against your guys when we do finally have that clash, and that's just not there anymore. So that was a glaring omission on my part. But I still did enjoy that tech river or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's neat.
That is a really cool idea. And leveling up your tech is also a cool idea as well.
That's true, because you get to put new cards in those slots.
Right, and they can be more powerful. Some of them are more powerful in a certain aspect and less powerful than the card that it replaces, which I found out that was pretty interesting as well. But I like Tom, I need to play it again, but I didn't dislike it the first time, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I know it's not a ringing endorsement, right? But, oh, man.
We're apprehensive, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, what about you, Rick?
But in the pre-cruise party, I got to play a cooperative kitchen simulator called Kitchen Rush.
Oh, I didn't find out if you won or not.
We did not.
I told you would not when I taught you the game.
We did not win. So in Kitchen Rush, you are... But we were close.
That's
we were
still a
very
loss.
Close. We still lost.
Tom, we lost also when we played.
So in Kitchen Rush, you are trying to run a restaurant, and you're given some sort of goal. And we were doing the early goal, the basic goal, which was to get like 28 completed orders, earn a certain amount of money, and earn a certain amount of prestige. And you do this in a real-time 4-minute round with actions that are set off by egg timers. So you decide to go shopping, and you put your little egg timer on there. It's a lot like Time and Space or Space Dealer, that sort of mechanism. You get to do the thing that you selected when you put the egg timer down, but you can't move it until the egg timer is done. And you've got 2 of these of your own for each player, and this is cooperative, you're all working together, and there's also one extra one, you can even unlock another extra one, extra helper. You have to do dishes, you have to buy ingredients for all of your stuff, you can unlock more storage space for your ingredients, you have to get the orders, you have to deliver the orders, all this stuff, but you have to do it all with these egg timers, and communicating and yelling and trying to figure out what you need. And
But you were yelling?
Forcefully discussing. Discussing with spice. Speaking of spice, there's also a bag of spices. You have to reach in and grab the pepper and the salt and correctly spice your dishes. You have to cook them. You work down this little cooking chart, and then you check when it's all over, did you cook it right? Did you cook it correctly? Did you put the right cubes on it?
Okay.
And if you didn't, you might have to remake it. It's a very difficult game, and it blows my mind that there are lots of variants that we didn't even touch to make the game more difficult.
Oh, I know.
Thematically, though, this is very similar to Walkstar. I mean, it's practically the same theme, Chinese restaurant versus more general restaurant. And I feel like this one has a closer connection to the theme. It's less abstracted than Walkstar, where you're doing just number values in Walkstar to buy ingredients. It has many of the same mechanisms, but this one feels a little more visceral. It's got the ingredients that look like chunks of meat or vegetables and stuff, and whereas Walkstar you're moving sliders around. I think I might actually prefer Kitchen Rush, but I've won Walkstar and I have yet to successfully complete Kitchen Rush. Still, thumbs up, I liked it.
It's definitely a hard game, but
it's hard.
I think easy is beatable.
We were close.
Does the game feel like an app? It sounds like an app.
I don't
Are you
think
talking about like that app where you drag the food on the pizza, then you stick it in the oven?
Yeah, does it have that feeling to it?
Maybe.
No, I mean, I don't think you could do this with an app and do the same thing, because you're all working together, reaching over each other, trying not to knock over the egg timers.
Okay.
It's that coordination.
Okay.
It's not something that you could really do digitally very easily.
So the dexterity aspect
There
of
is
getting
certainly
around
an
each
because you
other.
got to get the ingredients on the plate and move the plate down. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Well, I got to play a cooperative game as well, but we won that game.
What's the game?
This was my 8th play and my 2nd win only of Pandemic Rising Tide. We got to win, yes.
You played it 8
Go
times
us.
now?
8 times.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
Wow, so you're really liking this one.
So Pandemic Rising Tide is the latest spin-off, of course, of Pandemic, and they've done, Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu, they did Iberia, and now it's one set in the Netherlands for an anniversary of some sort. And in it, you are not fighting disease, there's none of that stuff, you are simply keeping the water from rising and reclaiming your land. And so there's a lot of at play here with pumping the water out and keeping it out and rebuilding your structures, and ultimately the objective of the game is to build 4 main hydraulic structures, just like, curing the diseases. And once you do that, you've won the game. But it really rewrites the puzzle. It's not, I remember a lot of people when Iberia came out, I disagreed, but a lot of people said, this is a reskin of Pandemic. I didn't think so, but a lot of people did think so. No one, I think, is going to accuse this game of being a reskin of Pandemic. It feels different. You have to relearn how to play well, and it is a tough game. It's a difficult game, but like I said, we got to play it and win it. I enjoy it. I will say, on the one hand, it is the most unique from all of the spin-offs. On the other hand, it is my least favorite of all of the spin-offs. I don't really like the look of the game. I think it's a busy board. The color palette is very muted. It's not pretty. I have a hard time with it just not being attractive, especially after Iberia was gorgeous. Thought Iberia was stunning looking, and this one seems a little more drab and a little more serious maybe, and that's fine, you know, maybe that word's not the right word exactly, but it doesn't quite appeal to me from a visual point of view. The puzzle's interesting. I'm enjoying playing it and exploring it more. I just wish it was prettier and a cleaner design, and by that I mean visual design.
Would you have played the game had it not been called Pandemic?
I might have tried it anyway, because if it's cooperative...
It just feels like you're trying to shoehorn in, it's good because it's Pandemic, and if I say a Pandemic game is bad, Tom and Z are coming down.
No, I mean, I rate it a 7 right now.
That's
Is it just
high.
that Pandemic is so high?
That's what
this
I mean.
One, I mean, small, niggly, criticisms.
I mean, for me,
bring it
Pandemic's a
down.
10, Iberia's a 10, Cthulhu's a 9. This is a 7.
Okay, but so someone like me who has never played Pandemic.
What is that all about?
Mandy, you would actually like Pandemic Netherlands, I feel, because it's this co-designer is Jerome from Splatter, and that's more your style.
Yes, you know, exactly. Oh, you got me, Jason. That's right.
All kinds of comments today.
Okay,
Did
go
Jason like do research on everybody? Is it?
He has dossiers.
Yeah, right. He has. Oh my goodness.
This
The
game
notes.
seems like
keeps
this would
copious
be up
amounts
your
of
alley.
notes. Yes, you'll like this.
So yeah, I did have a point.
So you haven't played any, okay?
So someone who hasn't played them, do
Yeah.
you think they would have the same issues or concerns with the game, or do you think going in it would?
Where is I played with? There you are. You haven't played before any of the Pandemics. What do you think? Do you have an issue with it?
And yeah, and
She
that
said,
was
no, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Z was an amazing teacher. Thank you, Z, for teaching.
That is what she said.
That's exactly what she
I
said.
feel maybe it's just probably my hearing.
Yeah, I just
Yeah, that's
didn't.
what it is.
It's
Too much food. That's what
very
it
hard
is.
up here.
All right, so that's it. Pandemic, Rising Tide. I like it, but yes, in comparison to some of my favorite games ever, I'm slightly disappointed too.
I want to play it more.
okay. Play with me.
Yes, please.
Okay, we'll play together.
Yes.
So I actually brought a game with me. It's called Topiary. I don't think it's available in North America yet, but it will be coming with Renegade Games. It's I played it with Eric and Suzanne and Eric's wife. And in this game, you're basically trying to get points by placing tiles, but you want to place them in a way where the tiles are in ascending order. So you want to go higher with the number. How do you do this? You use meeples by placing them around a grid. So the tiles we played with 4 players, so it's a 5x5 grid. Each player takes a meeple, you place it beside a row or column or even on a diagonal. You take a tile that you have in your hand and you're going to swap it out from a tile in that row or diagonal that you've chosen. The number of the tiles are from 1 to 5, I believe it is. And when you're placing these tiles, you want to make sure you're not blocking yourself. You want to be able to see down that row, column, or diagonal. So for example, if I take a tile and it's a 1, from where I've placed my meeple anywhere in that row, I want to make sure that it's close to me and I'm not placing a 5 in front of myself. Because if I do that and there's a lower number behind it, I've now blocked myself from seeing that number. It's important because these tiles count as points as long as you can see them. So there's a bit of I find the scoring a bit fiddly at the end because you are now taking all the meeples that have been placed, trying to score the rows. People are going to try and block you, so it gets a little mean. But you also get bonus points in the game for tiles, the illustrations that match in the game depending on the number on the tile if it's a lower number. So I found this game plays really well with 4, but it does get a little mean. I think I might have blocked you a couple times there.
You
I'm
did.
so
Yes,
sorry.
yes. You were very mean, but I still won because you put a 5-point tile in front of me, so I got 5 points at least.
I only had 5, so I had to put it there. So see, it wasn't so bad at the end. But I just found this was a very short game, but there was a lot of strategy in it. I really enjoyed it. It's a shorter game, but it packed a little bit of a punch. So I brought it here if anybody would like to try it out with me. 2 players, I didn't find it as competitive, so I did like that push and pull in a 4-player game. So I think some of you have played it.
I think the game needs a board to show you where to put your guys. Because if you bump them at all, I don't remember if this guy was a diagonal
true.
guy or on down the tile. But I think little circles on the board.
Right.
Wait,
Because
when
right now
you-
it's just tiles.
So when you pick a diagonal guy, can he be looking at a row that is shorter than 5 tiles?
No,
Yes.
you start with them. Then we played differently. It's a 5x5 grid. The diagonals have to be in the 4 corners of the 5x5 grid.
I don't believe that's the rule.
No, we checked it.
Dun, dun.
We checked it.
I checked it too. I'm pretty sure because the example shows you a guy diagonally who is not on the corner. It shows him in the middle of the grid.
No, in the rulebook.
You're in the
Now,
left
I also
corner.
have a copy.
Red hat.
No, they're rewriting the rules because there are some issues.
Oh, that was
maybe that's
in the
okay.
rulebook that I
I'm gonna use
have.
this out in case I'm wrong, but I feel.
You were playing the original version.
I think we should.
Mandy has the revised version.
I think we should
and that's-
discuss the track record between Tom
So
and
we're
Eric
moving on
and
here.
getting rules right.
That's not okay. Not on stage, man.
But a lot of the scoring is, I think it's all end game. So that's the only part of the game which I found was a little fiddly. Doing the end game. Did you not find that, Suzanne?
Yeah, I think the end game. I mean, you just have to. The way we do it is that you flip your meeple down after you've counted it. So you just go around in a circle. It's a little bit fiddly, but I think the game's it's got great art and it's pretty easy to teach and really accessible that way. So I think yeah, some end game scoring fiddliness, but it's super fun.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to land with a dud, though. I just can't see this game being that accessible to people.
What about the Topiary fan community?
The Edward Scissorhands group?
Yes.
That would
buy
be
it
a
in
good
droves.
re-theme. Oh, that's a good re-theme.
Ooh, an
I bet like
expansion. The Edward
NECA or
Scissorhands
someone
expansion.
has that movie right.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately,
They
it
could do
really
it.
is an abstract game that plays 2 to 4. I mean, there's a theme on it, but it's a very abstract game.
Right.
So if people don't like abstract games,
This may not be for you.
and
Right.
then if people don't realize that it's an abstract game when they go into it,
Or you
because of
hate
the cute art and
trees
stuff
or
like that,
something,
and
yeah.
then they think it's I mean, there may be
It's not a gardening
maybe about
simulator.
expectations.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at this point, we're going to do some Q&A here. Kenny, who's in the cap there with Derek by the video camera, he'll be bringing the mic around, but I told him that we don't want to make him do a marathon. So if you want to ask a question, you're going to have to be sitting in a yellow seat. So you can slide up if you want.
One of these days, we're going to have the microphone by the side and have people line up like they do at like debates, town hall meetings.
Yeah, you really think we should? We almost did that at PAX, and then we didn't. But
They offered to set one up.
they offered to set one up, and it would have happened. But we wouldn't get to see Kenny and Matt Hosey run.
That's true. It's part of it. It's just we look forward to
So anyway,
it.
if you have a question, if you raise your hand high so that Kenny can see you and bring it by, or pass the mic down to you if you happen to be in the middle of the row. And we'll try to answer these. You can ask them to some of the panel or all the panel.
While we're waiting for Kenny to get to the first people, hey, is anyone signed up to do the amazing Cozumel race in a couple days?
Again?
I'm not doing it again. I'm curious how many. Are you all on the same team or are you competing against each other? All on the same team?
Oh, that's awesome.
Excellent. All right, best of luck.
Eric didn't win his race.
I came in third. I got a medal.
So about a month or two ago, you made the transition to have the live or the Skype show, as well as having Mandi and Suzanne do the every other. I'm just curious what your thoughts on that, how well that's going. Do you like the new format better? Like you as a panel, like how do you feel about that?
I really like Dice Tower Tonight as a format. I think it's fun. I think it's neat to have this immediate sort of what's going on right now. What are you playing right now? We get to show components to each other. I think that's a successful twist on the format. So I really enjoy that aspect of it.
I'm never always completely content with my choices and like things. Like Dice Tower Tonight, I'm enjoying it, but I would like to eventually get it to be so it's a slightly better production. But just whenever you do the two different people and one of their internet connections isn't as good as the other, that causes some hang-ups. But we're getting there, and I'm happy with the format. I do like that. I like live stuff mostly. Ever since we said that we were considering not doing live stuff because we got so much negative feedback, people have been like beating down the people who do negative feedback. Someone will come and be like, they got that rule wrong. And I was like, shut up, they'll stop doing it. You know? But the live talking is enjoyable. So, yeah, happy with that. As for the podcast, oh, fantastic. I'm very pleased with that. I think Mandi and Suzanne are doing a great job. And
Thank you.
I agree. And, you know, it's good to have two different voices. Because one thing we were criticized for, and I know this because I read the comments on my aggro review, you know, that you guys don't like heavy Euro games, which is true to some part. Sam despises them. Z.
I love them.
No, again, that's
I love them
getting to that
too.
point, right? So
Getting
Z,
there.
Sorry.
Z plays things that are less than 5 minutes, and you know, I actually do like several of them, but it's good to have new voices on that talk about things in different ways, and I think that's great. Also, yes, I'm happy with that.
Suzanne has some sort of secret network of spies that finds out about games I've never heard of. And so I love listening to their episodes and finding out about stuff that I didn't know about. It's very entertaining.
I have somebody at Tokyo Game Market right now buying for me.
What?
I do.
You know, this whole, okay, we got to address this Tokyo thing.
Oh, it's on. Okay.
No, listen. This is turning into the new, it's a Japanese game.
I can't even understand that. Yes.
Games from Japan are cool, but they're not like cooler than the rest of the world. But I think it's kind of like...
Have you seen Tokyo Highway?
Yeah,
You get tweezers in this one.
Did you see the game where you throw a fan at stuff?
Yes.
It's just throwing a fan at stuff.
Wait,
Yes.
Were
Like
you
a
there when
paper
it came by
airplane, you
the
throw
booth? The lady gave me the fan. You spread out the paper fan.
Oh,
spread
okay,
it out,
yeah.
and then you throw it and try to knock something off the something. I don't know what.
That
Instead of
sounds...
paper airplanes, it's like throwing paper fans. It's awesome.
No, it's not awesome. That's interesting.
I
I
played
will
the...
throw a paper fan at you, and you will experience how awesome it is. Or at least I will enjoy it.
Now, that variant I might be interested in. I'll
So
check
you're like,
that
it
out.
just got interesting.
You have to catch it with your face.
In your teeth.
Well, I want to just say that I've really enjoyed the Dice Tower Tonight episodes. I think it's so much fun seeing Eric's face. That's a delight, right? Like,
That's a nice thing.
You're not just a voice.
Also, the whole component thing, if you haven't seen the episode where Eric talks about Bonk, if you know what Bonk is, it's like the sequel to Clask. The board is huge. It's not a board. It's this big wooden thing with these big rails. So they're talking about components, and he's talking about Bonk, and all of a sudden Eric pulls onto screen this giant game of Bonk, this huge wooden table essentially onto the screen. You don't get that experience on an audio-only podcast.
No.
That's true. The problem with this show is I'm talking about showing the components and I'm tossing them down, and at the end of the thing I'm like
Surrounded by
components
stuff.
on the floor, and I'm like, oh, the kids are already in bed. I can't make them clean it up. You know? Guess I'm stuck doing this.
So it's going to change to Dice Tower this afternoon soon.
No, I'm just going to wait till the morning and be like, kids, you got a chore. You know. All right, we got another question? I'm not mean, I pick it up myself.
Hi. I swear there's a question. It's a bit tricky. So it's about, like, when you review and about replayability, I know Z has it on his target thing. As it evolved over the years with more and more games that you have, so things like Legendary that have 1 billion combinations, some of them are amazing, some of them are not so great. Do you, like, still look for that, or you look for replayability or variety in different games? Like, you want one game to deliver something cool all the time, and if you don't want to play that, you play something else. Versus like Legendary, where you can play it and have 1 million different experiences in that one box. So how did that change over the years? Because there's many good games now.
That's interesting because...
What are we looking for? That's the question.
No, but
are we
like-
still looking for...
Yeah, are you still looking for games that have like 1 million combinations? Is that still important?
Because there's so many games out there now. Like, this is kind of an interesting thing because in many ways, we're often, and I'm including a lot of y'all, hypocritical about this. You know, like, I want replayability and stuff, and you only play a game twice before you move on to the next game anyway. You know, it's like, what's the new game? What's the new game? So is replayability that big of a deal? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, I think even if we're not playing it the 50, 60 times that are in the box, we can recognize that there are that many possibilities in the box. After playing it a few times, you can say, oh, well, let's look through the rest of these cards. Ooh, this would be neat with this. This would be neat with this. We can see that there's that possibility and sort of imagine those new frontiers in that particular game, and don't have to necessarily play every single combination. But yeah, there's certainly value in having that amount of replayability, and I know I try and talk about it if it's there.
Okay, everybody's looking at me, so I'll say something now. I've and again, I'm not trying to shoehorn this in, but I've played Blood Rage a lot.
I'm not surprised
This really feels like a shoehorn. I promise it's not
Which
that way.
game now?
And I'm still finding new combinations of the cards that come in the base set, not just ones that have been added to it. So that's a really cool thing, in my opinion, that I can play a game and and again, we're coming up to like 30, 40 plays at this point, which is unreal for somebody like me, because usually I don't have the time to play one game that many times. But over the year and a half or 2 years that it's been out, I've been able to do it, and I'm still finding new combinations. That's an amazing thing for me. To me, that's replayability. I mean, a lot of people think it's dudes on a map, it's area control, and that's where I think the cards are where the game is actually won. And to find new combinations after so many different plays, I'm loving it. So, yeah, I think replayability is a huge factor in a game.
I think pulling back a little bit from just the replayability part, you were asking about what we're looking for. I guess for me, originality is not necessarily always the goal. Like we had a saying in theater where it was, if you want to be memorable, you got to, do it best, do it worst, do it first, or do it last. Two of those don't really apply to gaming. I think you want to do it first or you want to do it best. The other two are memorable. Again, that's what we were going for. I have memorable moments.
I played some of the ones that do it worst.
Yeah. But, so I think that having something that's new and hasn't been done, that'll be memorable. That'll, obviously hit you in a particular way when you go, I haven't seen anything like this before. I'm going to talk this up, right? I find it engaging. But something that has been done and you play it and you realize they've done the best job they could possibly have done at that same thing that's been done before, I think there's a lot of value in that. I love a game that takes drafting, which has been around for a while, and gives you the best possible drafting game in it with everything you're going to want, all this interaction, all the fun hate drafting, combos, whatever. That's great. There's not necessarily anything new in there, but that game's going to make an impression, especially if they've checked off all the boxes for me. Like, it's pretty, it's graphically consistent, it's got a good game length for how much you're doing in it, all those things, I think oftentimes the first one at something doesn't do all that, and that's to be expected, right? They're trying something new. But I find a lot of value in both.
All right, we have another question.
Concerning your top 10 games of the year, there are so many games that you can't possibly review them all or play them all. Right. So how do you decide which games could turn in the top 10s of the year? And how do you make the cut of not playing them?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this because I was just doing this. The other night I was bored, so I made some top 10 lists. And I wasn't bored, actually, but I was waiting for some stuff to get done, some videos. And I was like, I'll start working on the top 10 of the year and going through that. And it's tough, right? Because I feel like I play more games than most humans, different games at least. Jason might help beat me, but not many others. So I play a lot of games, and I've played hundreds of games that have come out in 2017, and I was easily able to come up with 10, 20, 30 great games. But I looked at all these other games, I was like, oh, maybe that could have been in the top 10. That could have been in the top 10. Maybe I should get around to playing that. There's some games I might play here for that reason. But I can't sit around and just wonder that. I'm just going to have to go with the best that I can come across because we can't play them all. And at the Dice Tower, we try. But it is like a fire hose of games coming out. We don't get all the games that come out, but we get a good chunk of them. And it's like a tsunami. And we got a pallet that's hurtling our way like a meteor. And when it lands, it's going to feel like Deep Impact, because the games are like, wah, and we're not going to get to play all of them. It's just not going to happen. But we'll play the ones that we think are the best. And for that, we're judging them on box cover and other things. And so we give you our best approximation because nobody can. Nobody can give you the definitive best games of the year. So we're just going to give you what we think are, and it should be a pretty good list.
That is why the Dice Tower Awards are in July.
Right.
Because it gives everybody at least a close chance to play as much of the previous year's games as possible.
Yeah, I think I did get everything possible at Essen and brought it back, or most of them.
No, but see, that's the thing. I had some people email me. They're like, you didn't pick up your game at Essen, and sometimes I'm thinking, well, yeah, I know that.
I avoided you on purpose.
I never say that, okay?
But
That's not a mistake.
From my perspective on the top 10, last year what I did is there was games that I didn't get to play that I felt might have been, so I like to do a these are the games I haven't played that may have been in my top 10 if I had played them, and then I do my top 10.
Also, okay, that's a good idea.
That's not a great idea. No,
that's not a good idea.
Some of those games might be horrible.
Yes.
And they're sort of getting recommended. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah.
I haven't played Gaia Project yet, and if I don't before my top 10, I will say that Gaia Project may have been in my top 10.
Well, play it. It's here on the ship.
It's here. You could do that like next, after dinner.
Do it during dinner.
Do it before
Does anyone want to play Gaia Project with me at dinner?
See?
Yeah.
It's the best way to get a game together.
That's one of the things that
move some pieces.
That's one of the things that I've always kind of thought about, and we've always kind of battled that, because when we put a top 10 out there and we name it, the top 10, blah blah blah, whatever it might be.
It's definitive.
Yeah, people think that we're saying that our top 10 list is a definitive top 10 list, when actuality says that it isn't. It is my top 10 is not probably going to be the same as Eric's top 10. I guarantee that, as a matter of fact.
That was definitive right there.
Nope. My top 10 games of the year is exactly that. It's my top 10 games. So it's cut from the games that I was actually able to get to the table that came out in that year, whatever it might be. So the veiled, or however thinly or thickly veiled, understanding or misunderstanding of what a top 10 list is has to be answered first. And that is, quite frankly, it's the fact that these are my top 10 games. It's not necessarily the top 10 games that came out this year, because there are too many games.
Well, what does that even mean, right, at the end of the day? Is that the top 10 grossing games? I mean, are we looking at it like movies do? Top 10 best reviewed movies,
right,
aggregate score,
right,
or top 10 highest grossing? Those are very different lists,
right.
So, yeah, you can't do that.
Right.
And at some point, you need to just stop saying, in my opinion,
Yeah.
It has to be understood.
Yeah, you got to just
I'm doing my
buy
top
into
10.
that.
This is my opinion, which could greatly be different than yours.
Yeah.
There's something that bugs us at the Dice Tower. We'll talk about it sometimes. People are like, you did, in your opinion. Well, no joke.
Yes.
Every word that comes out of the Dice Tower's mouth is usually in our opinion. Except, some games are better than others. That's fact, period.
Yes.
When that happens, if we say end of conversation, then that means it's fact.
Period.
From an audio perspective, we are doing a group episode for our best and worst of the year, right?
We are.
Yes. So it'll be a group, Mandi, Suze, Eric, Tom, audio podcast, and then you guys have your video
I think
show.
we're going to have, I'm going to call it now, there will be 0 crossovers between all 4 lists.
You think so?
I think so.
It's quite possible.
No way.
0?
0 that will be on all 4 lists.
Oh, on all 4, probably not.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry.
All right, next question. Best dressed person in the room.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's on fire.
Do you think we are setting our expectations too high now with because we have an incredible gaming year, and a couple years ago was another incredible gaming year. And it just seems like I watched one of your reviews recently, I can't remember which one, but you're like, hey, the mechanics are great, this mechanism's cool, and it's doing kind of different things from other games. And you're like, but it's just kind of so-so to me now, because I guess it's already been done before. And I'm just wondering if we're just how can we just keep on going up at this rate? Can the industry continue to develop these kind of new mechanisms and new types of gameplays and just keep on we'll just keep riding the wave?
I guess, is the question, are we getting harsher?
No, I don't think you're getting harsher at all. I think you're I think you guys are pretty fair, and and you tend to have a lot more positive reviews than negative reviews.
Because we like gaming generally, right? Yeah,
right. And so I'm just wondering if it just feels like sometimes we're just like.
Are you talking
how he
about?
described Blood Rage? If any game that comes out that's similar to Blood Rage, if it's not a little bit better, how are you guys going to be? That's going to be your comparison point. Is there going to be a plateau at some point where the games are going to okay, we've gone 3 or 4 years and we've got nothing that's knocking our socks off?
It's certainly harder.
I see what you're
to
saying.
make a game that's going to stand out from what's already out there. I mean, the bar is raising. Every time somebody makes a great game, it's harder to make a game better than that or more distinctive than that.
I mean, I think historically, looking at anything, you're going to find that's not true. And my voice is cracked on not for some reason.
Okay.
Excuse me. I mean, if you look at anything, right, when the Walkman came out, People were like, this is the pinnacle of music.
Nothing will beat me.
Like, that's what I mean. Pick your favorite ridiculous example that history has proven to us was ridiculous to think so. So I think we're fine. Yes, you're going to have moments of more, growth than others. Moments where refinement is paramount and moments where exploration and growth are paramount. And I assume the pendulum will swing back and forth between them as it often does. But no, I don't think it'll stagnate. As in, we're going to find the best game ever made and every other game will sort of find its level to that and that's it, I don't know. I don't have any other better answer for you than that.
Isn't it something that needs to happen? Like you were saying, like everything else, it kind of sets a bar for people who are designing these games. Like, okay, we need to continue to make something that's a little bit different or a little bit better. Like it's something to strive toward. Like I feel like that's always going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's good to have a higher bar to aim for, yeah.
Well, this is what I mean. Like have something to aim for. And if people are continuing, obviously, to board game and to enjoy it, they're going to want to see those changes and people want to show what they can do. So I think it's something that's just going to happen.
I mean, all you really need for a more one-to-one comparison is look at, go back 20 years and look at the American market of board games and the European market of board games. You ask the average American, can we make a better game than this game without the dice? And they're like, well, how are we going to move? Are you crazy? No, we got what? No. Oh, you mean like with cards, like, I'm sorry. No movement at all. What? No, give me the dice again. So there you go,
But I think that games should be held to that higher standard. Sure, the tide is rising, but I remember very distinctly the first time.
No, not that one.
Not literally. Don't make that joke here. Don't use that.
Don't say that
here.
So, you talked about Pandemic Rising Tide on the ship.
True. Never mind. I'm sorry.
But I still remember that moment I first opened Mystery of the Abbey from Days of Wonder. And that game was like, wow, this game looks so much better than every other game. And then Shadows over Camelot, and it was like, mind was blown. And it was always like, well, there's game publishers, and then there's Days of Wonder. They are way above everybody else. And then Fantasy Flight finally stopped printing things where you had to cut the ships off of sprues, and their games went up. And then CMON did their Kickstarter, and it was like, wow, no one can make miniatures as good as that. But every game now, if a game doesn't look like a Days of Wonder game, we go, yeah, the components are okay. Go back and look at games 20 years ago. Look at El Grande. I like El Grande a lot. 1995, amazing game. But if that came out now, I'd be like, Z, this is yours to review. Because that box looks bad. Yeah. The components look bad. Yeah. And so this is all getting better, and I think that's fine. I think it's fine to say, I'm comparing this game to what is out there right now. Because you guys all have that same option. You all are going to say, what games do I go out and buy? Yeah. So it's only fair for us to do those comparisons. And is that harder for game publishers? Sure. But several of them rise to the task. We see game companies with consistently good components, good artwork, good quality games, and they're still around. And they're also on the ship, too. I want to be clear on that.
I think one of the only, sorry, Jason, I think one of the only ways that the industry could possibly stagnate for you if you refuse to evolve with the industry. And what I mean by that is that, if you only stick to your favorite games or what have you, and you refuse to kind of branch out from that and see the other things that are out there, then possibly the industry could stagnate for you because you're only focusing on one microcosm of it. You know what I mean? So if you maybe broaden your horizons a little bit, if it does start to feel like it's stagnating, then you'll be able to realize, oh, it's not. Maybe just my part is. And then maybe you can think about, well, what can I do to help my part of it not stagnate while I'm still enjoying all of this other stuff? But setting the bar high, I don't think that's not a problem with the industry. I think that's a good thing for the industry. I think we just simply need to cleanse the palate every once in a while and start trying something else. And that will keep the industry from stagnating for us personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think I've been thinking about this a lot. Me and Tom have talked about different things recently, and I've thought about, if you remember the video game industry with Atari, and then lots and lots of games came out for Atari, and then a lot of the games were very similar, like, oh, I'm playing Indiana Jones, which plays just like Adventure, which plays just like this. And then there was the video game crash, but then Nintendo came out with all this new stuff, and video games took off again. So I always wonder, will there be a bubble point? Is a bubble point coming? And will these new creative games come out of this bubble point? And what's going to happen to the industry 2 years, 3 years down the road? And I think about it a lot because obviously I'm a collector and I like having games and I don't want the industry to crash.
Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, Jason. I was just thinking, I've been thinking about that too. And again, the crash of '83 with the video games, the flooding of the market with bad video games. That's what did it. Partly. I think a lot of the reasons why that crash happened was the lack of knowledge about if you're buying a good game or a bad game. There's one good game and 19 bad ones, and you buy a bad game, and you go back next week and you buy another bad game, and then you buy another one, you're out. I'm done buying games. And the bubble bursts. I think today we're not in as much of a... I think the industry that we're in is not at much of a similar risk because there is a lot of information out there if you want it about games. Good games, bad games. Research your games. That stuff just wasn't as available back then, you know? So I find it a much more stable ecosystem, you know, board games now and the rapid rate of growth than video games back then.
Oh.
Hey, so you guys play a ton of games, and I've heard amazing stories about Jason's gaming prowess, and some people out here are even saying, like, Jason's an awesome player. So I was asking, if you guys come to a new game or something, are there, like, strategy tips or something to become better at games in general? Something that you normally look for when you first open up a game, and like, oh, this mechanic, I can kind of use it here, I can kind of do this there?
You mean like just general ones for any old game?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I know like the typical adage in worker placement games is if there's an option to get more workers, go for the new workers early, right? That's a pretty standard thing. It's not always true for every worker placement game, but it's a pretty fairly predictable one.
Yeah.
What did we just play where that wasn't true?
Kitchen Rush.
That's right, because you had to pay that stupid worker.
Oh, because you have to pay them all.
I don't want to pay people.
Yeah.
That's something you never want your boss to say.
I mean, we've mentioned it before, but always the piece of advice I always like is see what your other players are doing and do something different from them. Yeah. You don't want to be going head-to-head trying to do the same thing with the guy next to you. See that if there's 5 options, pick the one that the fewest people are doing. And that usually gives you a easier path to make your way in the game.
What if your enjoyment of the game comes from copying your opponent and blocking them and making them unhappy?
Nuts?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
that
not that I would ever
familiar,
do that.
Suzanne.
That's an advanced rule.
I feel like there's something I'm missing here.
I don't know, yeah.
Who is it? Who is this person?
Oh, Suzanne, we need to talk about this today?
No.
Wait, are we bringing something up?
I'm okay with this. Continue.
Yeah, Suzanne likes to take the more combative approach, you know, knives in the front, knives in the back.
I only attacked you like 5 times in a row. That's it.
That's all. And then I was done.
Sure. So, but that seems to be a pretty good strategy, so it seems to work for Suzanne. So.
Got it. Stab your friends.
Stab your friends.
All right.
That's a strategy tip for...
You will probably win.
I usually try to come at a new game and look at it as like a sandbox. You know, what can I do? What's going to make this game fun for me to play? You know, if it's mimicking somebody else, then you're probably a bad player. But anyway, no. If it's, you know, just see what's there and explore the game, especially during learning games, because learning games is what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be learning what the game allows you to do. So have fun with that. You know, just come at it with an open mind. Don't try to, and I know some people will maybe skip a heartbeat here, but don't try to win. Yeah. If you try to win, you're really narrowing your possibilities of enjoyment from the game. Because if I'm trying to win, then that's what's going to give me enjoyment. But if I'm just trying to play the game and not try to win, now my opportunities for enjoyment are wide open. But if you're just focusing on win, you've got a narrow margin. You need to widen that margin. Treat it like a sandbox.
Get him, Jason. Get him, or I will.
Yeah, I play in the sandbox too, but what I usually do is
try to win.
That is the goal.
Try to win.
This is my sandbox.
I found that
child
my
that play on the monkey bars.
yes, I find that I guess I don't know. Usually, what happens is I'll kind of half listen to Tom reading the rules.
Oof, that is.
No.
He knows this.
It's not even half listen. It's like a quarter.
And then
maybe.
I'll go, okay, I've seen 3 people make a move. If I do this, and I try to think 5 moves ahead. I'm like, if I do this, and this, I'll be here in 5 moves. And that's how I kind of think of it. And then I'm like, okay, do that. And then he's like, how did you win this game? You didn't listen to the rules. And I'm like, because you have to think 5 moves ahead.
That's not right.
So I play the game with Jason, and then he wins. Then I play the game with other people, and I did what Jason did in the game against me, and they think I'm smart.
Oh, that's good.
So that's another way to get better at games. Is
Play with
someone
Jason
really good.
first.
General rule.
Play with someone really good, and you'll lose, but watch how they do it, and then go use that
That is
strategy
good.
against other people.
I know what usually happens to me, and you guys will remember this. Every time I play a game that is longer than 45 minutes or so, I come out to an early lead, I think because I'm so used to shorter games, and then I just run out of steam halfway through, and I'm like, whoa. Everybody just goes right by me. Because I'm used to points now.
Yeah.
Getting whatever's going on, get it right now. So don't do that.
Oh, you want tips on things not to do? We can do that all day.
We're here for the rest of the time.
All right.
All right, so y'all play thousands of games, and it's international now, especially with Mandi on the board. So when you're picking your play groups to play your initial tests, how do you take their input? Is it kind of a play test, like you're doing a new game, or is it more of an interactive? You're watching what they're doing and how they're responding to the game, not just your response.
Definitely, when I'm playing a game with people, I'm watching them the whole time. I want to know what they think, how they like the game or not. It's not going to affect my final opinion that much, but I might mention things that they complain about something. I'll be like, well, some people didn't seem to like this. I mean, I thought that was fine. And I always stop, especially in games where we don't know the scores. I'll stop, and I always say this statement like maybe 15, 20 minutes before the game ends. I'm like, okay, before anyone has won or lost, what do you all think? Because I don't care what people say. Most people I've met, their opinions are definitely colored by how badly they won or lost. So I want to know what they think before that point gets there. Because afterwards, it'll be like, let me tell you about this stupid game. Like, oh, before you know you lost, do you like it? Yeah, it's great. Because in 5 minutes, that great is gone. But I definitely listen as many people as possible. I think that's an important thing. You know, sometimes I'll say, I like this game, but it's probably for a small group because mostly I'm the only person who liked it. And there's that.
Yeah, I pretty much do the same thing. I think, in fact, some players will color their opinion just a couple of turns in. So often I ask them what they think of the game before they play it. And I use that in my review.
Before we play this, what do you think?
Before I open the box, good, bad?
Opinions?
No, I do the same thing. I just watch my players, and after we sort of do a little, post-mortem breakdown of what did you think? Did you enjoy this? Did you like that? How was the rhythm of the game for you? What did you not like? That kind of thing. And just more information for me is never bad when it comes to talking about it later.
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. It's actually turned into heated discussions afterward.
What?
Oh, yeah.
This is back to that Suzanne thing. I think,
it is not.
Earlier.
Defend yourself.
But sometimes, we don't agree on things. I think last game we played was Merlin. And, they were all blaming the dice. And anyway, I won't get into it, but it got a little ugly. And I'm a Stefan Feld fan, so it hurt my soul a little bit. But these are things, when I'm talking my review, I will actually share their point of view as well. Because I may not play the way that they play. I may see things differently. So sometimes I will incorporate that into my review. I will actually say, hey, I did play with this group, and they found this, this, and this. I played it, and I found this, this, and this. So I like to kind of use it as well to shape what I'm talking about, because it may apply to other people.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this is the last question, folks.
Let me put one point in. I have my latest review of Gateway Uprising, which is a deck building area control game. That's how it's labeled on the box. And I watched people play the game as I was playtesting with them. And one guy, he completely ignored the area control part of the game. Completely ignored it. And matter of fact, he would come and play his turn, and then he would walk over to another table, and he would be talking with some other people over there. We'd say, hey, it's your turn again. He'd come over, do his turn, walk away. He almost, now I didn't mind at all. But that let me know, by the way, he ended up winning the game. Not just winning the game, he trounced the rest of us who were trying to play an area control deck building game. He completely ignored area control and trounced us. Now, that you might be saying, well, you just didn't play very well. No, I think that, and that came out in my review because this is not an area control game. If somebody can completely ignore it and wallop everybody else, that means that it's not a very well-balanced game, in my opinion. And so that definitely came out in the review by watching how other people played the game, not just, because I don't always ask. I just watch how they play. And usually you can have a pretty good idea, even from just doing that. But, I talked to him too, but that was just something that came up in my mind.
Maybe not like a more serious board game question, but if the cruise ship crashed onto an island and you were stuck there, and you could only pick one panel member to play board games with, who would you pick?
So I can't pick my wife. I have to pick one of these folks.
Could we pick the one we'd want the most and the one we want the least?
No. But the answer is really easy for me, and it's actually Jason. And the reason for that is because he seriously plays anything. I'll be like, this is bad. I can tell it's bad. Looks bad, smells bad, rule book's bad. It's bad. Jason's like, let's play it. Okay. For Z, I'll be like, this is pretty good. There might be a slight problem. He's like, I'm out. So Jason will play everything. So I'm picking Jason.
All right, well, I would pick Sam because Sam and I have very different tastes in games, really overall. And but one place where Sam and I think we're pretty simpatico is I'm pretty sure I could convince Sam to not play games and figure out how we can steal all the actual resources from everybody else on the island and have a really nice meal. So that's it.
Oh, this got even worse.
Yeah, this is getting bad.
Oh, okay.
All right, I think I'm actually gonna pick Eric because he's the one I've played the fewest games with, and so I think it'll be the longest time until he drives me crazy and I finally kill him. Like Tom, I would be feeding him his hat day 2.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good reason.
I think I'm going to pick Mandi because I think similar reason. And you also like the heavier stuff, so we'd be able to play. We'd have the time because we'd be stranded, and we'd be able to play these deeper games, and it would be an enjoyable experience.
Oh, thanks.
I'm going to give a second for Mandi because she's my comrade in Euro games. And no, I didn't have a dossier. I just know she likes the heavy Euros.
Someone's not getting picked now.
Oh, no one picked? Solitaire games for me. I'll be in a different island, building my boat quietly. And why am I sewing a boat? I don't know. Doing that wrong.
I would probably pick Z, and the reason I would pick Z is because I remember playing so many bad games with Z, and we still had a great time playing the game because we're trouncing on the game probably, but we're, exploiting different parts of the game that were probably never meant to be exploited at all. But we're just cracking jokes, we're enjoying the company even if we are not enjoying the game. So that would be probably the person I would pick.
Sweet.
I already went.
Who'd you pick?
Mandi.
I didn't get picked.
Oh, I haven't gone yet.
Well, that's the
She's basking in the glow of being picked twice.
So I would choose Suzanne. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to feel loved for a moment, so sorry.
Thanks for such a divisive question to end the show on.
I know. I feel this is unfair.
It's Jason's fault for picking the same person twice. That threw it all. Threw up the whole thing.
We could have.
I just went later in the order, but Mandi's awesome, and Euro games are awesome. Who else would I want to be with?
I thought we had.
Wow.
right.
But then I'd only play good games if I was with her. I'd play anything with you.
That's true.
That's true.
When you're playing with me, you don't know what's coming down that pike.
That's true.
So that's a fair thing. All right. Well, folks, we want to get going here. Dinner is approaching, so we don't want to be late for that. I want to thank Jason, Mandi, Sam, Eric, Z, and wait, did I ever say Mandi? What did I say wrong over here?
It's okay. I get it a lot.
It happens all the time.
Do it again.
Jason, Suzanne, Z, Eric, Sam, and Mandi. I did it right that time.
What?
It's the beard.
What?
That's it.
I thought he was talking to me.
No, it's not you. No, you're okay.
Okay.
Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
Jason Levine.
Suzanne Sheldon.
Sam Healy.
Eric Summerer.
Mandi Hutchinson.
And Z Garcia.
And you've been listening or watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks for listening. Promotional consideration has been provided by game publishers in the form of review copies of games. This episode, number 533, was recorded in front of a live maritime audience on December 3rd, 2017. The Dice Tower is produced by Tom, Eric, Mandi, and Suzanne with assistance from Itai Perez, Derek Porter, and Rob Searing. Timothy Pinkham composed our theme, Mr. Garcia's Lemonade Stand that never seems to earn any money, provided by Z Non-Profiteer. And hosting is provided by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games at great prices at coolstuffinc.com. Don't forget to visit the other shows in the Dice Tower Network. Find your next favorite at dicetowernetwork.com. Until next time, from all the gang at the Dice Tower, have fun gaming!
We made it. Hey, the curtain wasn't swinging this time, so that was a good thing.
Feel much more stable.
Don't leave yet. We have some announcements. Don't leave yet.
Okay, so real quick, I'll make an announcement so we can go to dinner. First of all, if you have allergies or anything when you're going to dinner, stop and see Jason on the way in. He'll show you the tables to sit at.
If you see me, I have allergies. That's the area.
Okay.
Mandi is your host at the allergy table.
And there was some confusion yesterday. If you show them your card, they'll tell you what table to sit at. But you don't have to sit at that table. You can sit at any table with Dice Tower, the thing on it, as long as it's not the tables.
Some didn't have it yesterday, but I have the map, and I will have it in front of the dining room when you come in today.
Secondly, we're going to try to have a note on a little sign downstairs and by the library that tells you what rooms are open that day. We gave it out to you, and it's correct, but there's one change that's being made to that, which is what?
On the final day at sea on Wednesday, instead of the dining room in level 4, we now have the dining room in level 5.
That's actually not what I meant, but yes, that's also true.
More important, though, you said the tiny change. More important is Oliver Twist. We know that there was hardly any light in there. If you remember last year, we had a room that's locked in Oliver Twist. We now have that starting at 8 p.m., 24/7 for the rest of the cruise.
So it's not so easy to see that door per se, so we're going to stick a sign. Kenny, we're going to stick one of the signs by that door at that time. So look for the door with the sign. If it's closed, you can go in there. And I really encourage you, it's really the most beautiful spot on the ship to play games.
It is.
And also during the day, the dining room area, did anyone play in there today? That's a fantastic area. You go in there.
We
4 people played in there.
Pandemic
That's
game in there.
awesome.
It's beautiful.
A lot of room.
And that's on the fourth floor dining area. You can go in there, basically in the same place that we eat dinner. And yeah, it's really great. So we're trying to find as many areas as we can. So there's that.
We've kind of found that there's like some space issues from like 9:30 until the conference room clears out. Do you have any alternate?
You mean at night?
Yeah, at night.
Eat ice cream? Honestly, I wish we have
That would mean there would be more space
tremendously
issues
to
later.
find more space. But yes, between 9 and midnight. But this new Oliver Twist room opening up will hopefully alleviate that some, so you can go there and play, or play anywhere in the ship. There's a library on 7th floor. You can play in there. You know, you can play at the little pizza place. You know,
the Schooner Bar on deck 4 or 5.
But we are really limited by what the ship has given us, so that is the best we can do in that regard. I have an idea for next year that will hopefully fix some of that, but we're still working on that.
Our own ship.
That's not the idea.
A pontoon that gets dragged behind.
I can see it now.
Dinner. We need to shut down. All right, thank you,
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
SS Vassal.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.